Hi everybody, Ray Hayden here, and this video is going to be about these doors that we picked up. Actually, we had to custom order them. These door frames are 32 inches wide, and the door frame, or the doors, the bifold doors that you buy from the big box stores come in like 30 or 36 inches, and these are 32. The recommendation on these doors when you have a door opening is to measure in 3 places and then 3 more places. I held them like that and like that to show that it's up and down and then side to side. So they say measure on both sides and in the center. Put your tape measure up to the top, and that is right about just about 80 inches on. This one here is a little over 80 inches, and then one more time in the center, best you can, and that's about 80.5 inches, kind of thing like that. Now the thing is, of the 3 on the height, they're both 80 inches plus a little bit, and you want to take the lowest number. So if one's 80 and one's 80 1/4 and one's 80.5, you want the 80 inches for the height, and that'll be the height for the doors. Let's go over here and look at this side again, and we have to measure across at the top, and that's 32 and a little bit. Measure here in the middle. That's a little bit more than 32. And at the bottom, it's a little bit closer to actually 32. Talk about that in a second. Let's go over here and tilt the camera a little bit and hit this side again. Do the bottom first. About 32 1/8 or 32 1/4, I'm sorry. And then just over 32 1/16 or so. And in the center, that's just over 32. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up just one of these boxes, not both. Okay, for this part of the video, I lowered the camera a bit. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open this box up carefully and kind of not rip it apart, but disassemble it so that in case something is radically wrong somewhere, I can get it back together without opening up both boxes. So my thought is if there's going to be a problem, it's going to be in the one that has this little hole in it. So, styrofoam wrapping all around the doors. It's that white stuff you see here. All right, so I'm just going to pull out this skinny one first. And I don't want to break that in case I have to repack it. And the doors have a clear plastic wrap around the ends. So I'm just going to kind of pull this straight up out of the box. Try to carefully tilt it and tilt them up. All right. Okay, so I lifted the door up and then put it up against the wall here to do a quick inspection on it. There's a red dot here in the center of the door, and it is wrapped up in clear plastic. Now, I don't want to take it out of the clear plastic until I look at it carefully, inspect it, and it tells me the size of it right up here. There's a document that says it's a bifold door, which is what it is. It means it's got the hinges on it, right? And it's 32 inches by 80 inches. Happens to be white. We won't have to paint it right away. If we want to change the color, we can always paint it later on. And it's got the louver doors slats all the way down the whole thing. What that does is it helps keep humidity from being trapped in the closet. And these closets have cedar board in the back of them, like a wall of cedar wood to help keep it dry and fresh inside there as well. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my measuring device. I'm going to have it sit here on a box. These should be 16 inches across, and they're slightly shorter than 16 inches, which is kind of mandatory because you're going to need some space when you open the door. Okay, when you open the doors, they're this way, but when you open them, there's a little bit of a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch of space that's going to happen, and it's really going to be like about half of the door width, thickness. And it's just, let's start out with 2 inches here, 2 to 3. It's just over 1 inch wide, okay? So the door itself is just over 1 inch wide, and we need to have room on both sides of the door for them to make that turn, because both of the doors are going to make a little turn. One's going to initially turn towards the side, and the one where it's mounted, which is going to be to the left or to the right over there, right? They're going to open up different directions here. We need a little bit of room between the door and the opening and such like that. So these look good. They're measured right here. I'm going to measure these from the bottom up. All right. So these are 78.5 inches tall. And it seems kind of a little counterproductive there. We have an 80-inch opening. We want an 80-inch door. It says it's 80 inches, but it's only 78.5. Again, that's for some room. There's going to be a track along the top, and there's going to be a mount on the bottom. The mount on the bottom is the door is going to be hanging. Okay, so this part way over here, the outside of the door, both of them, right? So they're both stretched out. The door's closed. The door is going to be hanging, so it's going to be really supported by that one pivot point, and that's what lifts it up off the ground. And then it has to slide across the track. That just keeps it in place so it's not, wobbling around and stuff. But the ground part is anchored only into one part just to keep it steady. So that has to be really well put in there. So everything appears to be in the package. It seems to be good to go. And now I'm going to go ahead and start removing carefully the packaging around this set of doors. The other set's just going to stay in the box for now. All right, let's come back. We'll do some more work. In taking the packaging material out, as I said, the material was all attached up here in the different plastic bags hanging off the top. And this here is the rod in which the doors ride in so that they don't tilt forward and tilt out or anything like that. The door is, as I say, the door is 32 inches wide and 80 inches tall. Well, it is about 80 inches tall, but let's see how long this rod is. And it's not going to be a full 32 inches because, again, there's room for motion and stuff. It's actually 31 and a half and a little bit extra, about a 16th or so more. So it's not going to go all the way across the top. So what I'll do is I'll move these doors a little bit. All right. This is the top set of part of the doors. Okay. So we have this, and I can pass it right through here. I'm running it across my fingers here so I don't scratch any wood or paint jobs or anything. And it fits right in there, but it doesn't go wall to wall. All right. This screw right here in the package, this is actually the foot for this thing. Let me see, I got that little L bracket in here somewhere, I believe. There we go. So this is the L bracket, okay? So this thing here mounts to the wall. Let me grab a piece of cardboard here or something. There we go. And if you look at this thing, and if I was like to mount it right to the wall, well, there's a good bend in the thing here, right? So if I mount this, and I had this on a 90-degree angle, right? There's a gap under there. So you see right there in that cardboard, there's a little bit of a gap. Or you can be a little bit more of a gap too, because this thing here is kind of angled up a little bit, and it will be. Okay, so it's going to have to be angled up a little bit. Then the other thing is this screw is pretty long. And the reason why this is pretty long is because this funny looking part of it down the end over here. Let's go ahead and pull this out. This screws up into the bottom of the door, much like those little top hat things up in the top of the door are there. This thing here goes in the bottom, and this thing rides right here. And these got little teeth right here along the sides. Okay, that's where this thing sits. All right, it mounts in right there. And you can turn a little bit. This is what raises the door up and down to make it fit perfectly in that track. And this is where it gets real important. I'll show you why. Because the door itself, as is, looks like it's about 2 inches too short. There's a big gap up here. So what it is we have to lift it up a little bit. And we're going to have to do that. And there's going to be a little gap underneath and a little gap on the top. And I have to get it perfect for the that little top hat to ride in the track up above. So the first things first is put the track in there. So all this material here, this is what's going to hold. Sorry, there's going to be a thing right there. Okay, so this thing here can move a little bit here and there along the way, but I need to get that screw all the way through, and that's what's going to hold the top track on. It's going to hold on this way. The flat part goes up along the top. All right. I got a screw here, a screw in the center, and a screw over on the far right. And for the look of the thing to be balanced, like I said, they leave a little room. There's going to be a little bit of extra room off on the side here, a little bit of room off the side here. But when I loosen this screw here, I can slide this whole mechanism closer to the edge. So that gives me a little bit of room to get the door perfect so they can open and close without nailing the wall or not being too tight of a squeeze between the two doors. All right, so let me get the track put in and then we'll make the next step. Okay, so the door is on, installed. I just check it to make sure there's any fine tuning that needs to be done. So I want to go through what I had just done. And right now we just pull the doors like this. So the door opens up this way, all right, away from the front door. Because again, we're in Central Florida, a lot of humidity. And the bracket on the floor, the L bracket, all right, it's mounted like that, only needed the 2 screws to go into the door jamb, all right? So they go into the door jamb, and I don't need to drill a hole. I can, but I don't need to drill a hole in the tile to get a 3rd screw in there. So that holds it up like this, all right? All of the weight, all of the heft of the door is really in the top bracket on this side of the door and on the L bracket down at the floor. That's why they give you these really strong screws, long, strong screws to get that in. Oh, by the way, the instructions were in one of the plastic bags, and they have that for installation, left opening, right opening, cutting, and also for painting. So if you need to paint them, they give you instructions for that on the louver door. This is if you're just going to install them and it's a new installation kind of thing. Otherwise, you get them like what we did, painted white already, and we don't need to do anything else to them, as it should be. These are not an inexpensive item to install. Now, there's a little bit of a give at the end here, a little bit of like a hard part. You got to push it shut, right? That's not because it's hitting the door. It's actually not touching the door frame on the other side at all, but there's a little spring up at the top. If you look at if you have these types of doors anywhere in your house or apartment or anything, look up here and in the side where it goes up against the wall, and it's going to have a spring, and that gives a little bit of tension. And what that really does is actually help to hold the door closed, all right? And then there's 2 little red dots on here. And what they are is they're little stickers, and you can peel them off. You can do a little starter hole, and I should explain that too. In that bracket that goes along the top, there's a hole on the right, hole on the left, but the important one is the hole in the center, because that's the one you're probably going to get right off the bat. So go ahead and get your starter hole in the center bracket hole. And then what I do is I make a little starter hole, and then I use my screwdriver, just a hand screwdriver, and I screw in that screw. It's a short screw. Really, you just want to hold everything nice and tight, but not over tight, okay? So if I use my drill gun, which I needed for the bottom screws because they're very long, and if I use that, I might have done some damage. So I don't want to do that. You only want to do it once, right? You don't have to replace wood and all that kind of stuff. So I just tighten these up in the center first. Just give that one more little turn. It doesn't turn, so I got it all the way in. It's all the way tight. Everything's good. And there is just a slight little gap on either side, but that's perfectly fine. It gives you room to make any minor adjustments that you can. And even the L bracket, the hole that's on the inside of the closet there, and this one would be the outside of the closet here, but the one hole is a slot. It's not really a hole, it's just a perfect hole for the screw to go in. It's a slot. Why? To give you some adjustment. Because you can check that out, and I did, and I used that the slot screw hole, and I made sure that the door was perpendicular. It wasn't leaning towards the front, wasn't leaning towards the back, because I had the thing in the wrong place. It might be slightly off, but it is a nice straight up and down door. All right. The last thing we need to do is decide where we want this pull to be, and then we put that on there, and we just pull the door open from there. This little red dot that's right here, there's one on the other door too. You can make a decision of where you want that little knob to be, and I give it to you right there in the bag. You should probably take it out. It's already painted as well. And you put, if you don't like the knob that they give you, you can put whatever you want on there. But anyways, it's all wrapped up in plastic too, but that comes with a little knob, a little pull knob, so you can get that job done, all right? So with that, I think that's a successful install on the one side. Now all I have to do is go through the whole thing again, and I don't have to be so meticulous about taking the box apart to pack everything back in, but I will, just to make sure there's no dingers or anything with that. But they really wrapped this thing up very well. The entire door was surrounded with this soft this soft styrofoam material to help protect. So with that, it's going to wrap this up. Don't forget to give a thumbs up, like the video, make a comment below, ask questions, let me know you came by to say hi, and ask me my opinions about this door and stuff like that. And also, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate the growth on the network. And until I catch you in the next video, take care and be well.